We are on a journey from field to fork. By 2050, there are expected to be 10 billion people on the planet. How to feed everyone is a profound question for the whole world and is set to transform farming in the decades ahead.
You feel like you are part of the change that could transform the way people eat.
From preserving water, the lifeblood that feeds the crops,
We've increased our water use efficiency by over 33% in the 20 years.
to regenerating the very soil they grow in.
This is a liquid fermenter that allows us to scale just a little bit of microbes into a lot of microbes.
From sustainable and safe food
Welcome to the largest vertical farm in the world.
to protecting the environment and reducing waste.
It's an amazing feeling to see that you can contribute to something that will change the world.
To help answer these questions, we'll be meeting some of the world's most influential thought leaders.
It's amazing to me what can change when agriculture changes.
To explore how innovation and modern agriculture are leading the way.
It's fundamentally a game changer for farmers around the world.
To reform our land and diet. And connecting farmer to consumer. In this episode, we're investigating the challenge of an aging farming population and what is being done across the globe to encourage young people back to the land. Welcome to Follow the Food. With the average age of the global farmer topping 60 and increasing numbers of potential young replacements flocking to the bright lights of the city, the future of our farming communities looks uncertain, just when we need them the most. As our global population has been steadily increasing over the past 20 years, from just over 5 billion to 7.5 billion, those employed to grow the food to feed them has been steadily decreasing. Since the early 1990s, numbers working in agriculture have almost halved, now employing just over a quarter of the global population. And in Japan, the problem of an aging farming population has never been more critical. With a long declining agricultural industry, populated with tiny farms burdened by heavy regulation, a new generation of farmer is reluctant to enter the industry. Today, as a result, just 2 million of the country's 127 million people still work the land, with the number decreasing daily as the population gets older. It's a decline the Japanese government is hoping to reverse.
Mr. Zaki-san,
Welcome to Tajima.
thank you.
Hey.
And how old are the people who are farmers, on average?
67歳ぐらいでしたかね。非常に高齢化してます。はい。
Lorato Mbele has come to Toyuka City in Japan to meet Ichiro Ozaki, who represents the J.A. Tajima Cooperative, one of the largest in the country, working to encourage young people back to farming.
I needed to understand why young people are leaving the rural areas. Do you see a situation where younger people would come back and work the farms?
成功するビジネスモデルをやっぱり作るということがとっても大事だと思いますね。ですからそれともう一つはやっぱりサラリーマンやね。
To help encourage new farmers back to the land, the Japanese government is now moving to ease the once restrictive regulations, allowing expansion, investment, and modernization. Hironari Ueda, a young farmer by Japanese standards at the age of 38, is making it work by expanding his rice business.
When you started your farm, was it smaller?
僕が経営を始めた時は9ヘクタールしか、地域のこの町の方がもう農業を僕に任せたいということでその方からお借りしています。
By subsidizing the cost of leasing the land, the J.A. Tajima Cooperative are helping young farmers grow their business by encouraging them to take on extra property from older farmers who no longer wish to farm.
What are your hopes for your sons?
叶うことであれば子どもたちにも農業はしてほしいです。でも自分たちが思うことがあればそちらの方向へ行ってもらっても僕は構わないと思います。
This young farmer has decided to build on a traditional crop. But others have come from another of Japan's big industries, technology, and are looking to move Japanese food production onto the next level. In the town of Yamamoto in northeastern Japan, a region famous for its strawberries, I'm visiting one farm that's helping reshape an industry after nature nearly wiped it out. In 2011, one of Japan's most devastating tsunami hit the northeast coast. The damage was swift and extensive, wiping out businesses and displacing thousands. 40-year-old Hiroki Iwasa was working a high-flying career in IT when he decided to return to Yamamoto to help rebuild his family's devastated strawberry farm. Using his knowledge and technology, he began to rebuild and grow the business. In 7 massive greenhouses, Hiroki controls everything, from humidity to carbon dioxide to nutrients, water, and temperature.
What was the motivation?
この町でその2011年に大きな津波があったんですね。で、その津波があって、でこの町のイチゴのハウスがほとんど全部破壊されてしまって、思いでこのビジネスを始めた。
What is your business model here?
農業という仕事がこんなに難しいとは正直思わなかったし、だからでもチャレンジしてとても良かった。なぜならもっとこうテクノロジーや新しい私の技術などで農業っていうのはこうどんどんこう変革、チェンジというか変えることができるっていうのは分かった。
And to help keep the business running, Hiroki has been busy building a team of young workers, encouraging them back to the once devastated town.
How many jobs have you created thus far?
多分この会社だけで100人以上の雇用が生まれていて、この土地の人がだいたい全員の 70%、他の工場で働いていた人が今ここで働いてくれてます。工場がもう流されちゃったとか。
So why do you think it is that younger people are opting to work in this kind of farming enterprise?
多分この会社は産休もあるし、有給もあるし、休みもあるし、その農業は365日休みなしだけど、ここは普通の会社のように働けるからじゃないですかね。
You've created a space on your farm, on a working farm, for ordinary people to come in and out, young people, children to come and pick strawberries. Do you think that has helped to change some of these perceptions about farming?
多分そう思います。多分都会に住んでいた人がこっちに戻ってきて、で新しい農業の形を作ってうまくいっているっていうそういうモデルを作るっていうことはすごく大事なことだし、おそらく若い世代にモデルを作るのもその起業家の大事な仕事だと思いますね。イチゴの技術が世界中に広がっているってなると、町の人の誇り、プライド、そういったものがこの町の中でこう醸成されるっていうのがまず一つ大事なことで。
Am I allowed to taste some of your strawberries?
Of course.
Okay. There you are.
Hiroki's success is twofold. Whilst capitalizing on the government's drive to create more profitable agricultural opportunities, he's also helping to draw in a new, younger workforce by reshaping the traditional farming job role to suit those who are more used to urban lifestyles. Growing strawberries might not seem that important or even essential for Japanese agriculture, but it's an example of how technology is pushing food production forward.
This is not just a farm. It's an organization that's helped a society devastated by a tsunami heal from that past. It's provided local employment and it's helped to preserve farming and the legacy of his family.
To understand more about the relationship today's younger generation has with farming, Greg Foot has traveled to the Netherlands to meet Louise Fresco. Now the president of the world-renowned Wageningen University and Research, Louise Fresco is perfectly placed to understand the challenges ahead.
More and more young people seem to be flocking from the fields to the city. What can we do to let young people know that, the future can be bright in food and farming?
Interestingly enough, I find young people more and more interested in a new way of doing things. The idea that you can have very small robots that actually do the difficult work, the back-breaking work, makes it different for people to stay there. Secondly, of course, the differences between the rural areas and the urban areas are getting somewhat blurred because we can see agriculture, and particularly horticulture, fish culture, aquaponics, coming into the cities and being closer to where the big consumer masses are. So attracting young people, I think, to a really environmentally sound, healthy agriculture in an urban context is going to be really exciting for them.
Why is this such an important area for you, the future of food and farming?
We stand on the shoulders of others. But today we have a chance to do it even better and do it in such a way that we really can guarantee good food for everybody at a price that's affordable in a way that doesn't damage the environment. I want people to be passionate about innovation, passionate about helping to shape a new society.
In a moment, we discover what else is happening around the globe to encourage young hands back to the land. In the U.S., Michelle Fleury meets a farmland matchmaker.
The number one barrier is just what you have to pay for farmland.
And Farm Africa is helping young Kenyans get a foothold in farming.
After doing this project, we have money. In future, I want to expand to be an entrepreneur.
We know that in the decades to come, producing enough food is going to be a challenge. But in some parts of the world, the problem is not what we're going to grow or where we're going to grow it, but rather who is going to grow it for us. Both in the developed and developing worlds, urbanization is proving a big draw for a generation that perceives farming as a tough, underpaid career, made even less appealing by spiraling and often unachievable startup costs. But help is on the way. Worldwide schemes and incentives are starting to encourage the young back to the land.
Here in the United States, one of the biggest challenges facing young farmers is access to land. A recent study from the Department of Agriculture found that real estate values doubled in just 15 years, making property ownership out of reach for many.
In line with the global average, the majority of American farmers are now topping 65 years old, outnumbering those under 35 by 6 to 1. But here in the States, it is not necessarily by choice. In some parts of the US, the young just can't afford the land to farm on. But one pioneering organisation is trying to reverse this trend. The American Farmland Trust are working on ways to give aspiring young farmers access to land.
American Farmland Trust exists to help save the land that sustains us, and we do that by protecting farmland, by advancing environmentally sound farming practices, and by helping keeping farmers on the land.
Why aren't more young people drawn to farming? I mean, is it simply too hard work?
Well, it is hard work, but young people want to farm. The number one biggest barrier in large swaths of this country is just what you have to pay for farmland. And that makes it insurmountable for a lot of people who would like to get into farming. And when you can remove or lower that barrier, young people do come to farming.
Land is a major problem when you're starting a farm with no family history, or you're not walking into a farm that your family owns where there's land and equipment and cattle. So you have to start, find capital, find land, and grow at a very slow pace.
Josh Rockwood is part of the 1% of working Americans who claim farming as their occupation. But like so many others of his generation, he is being priced out of farming. With land prices beyond his reach, Josh has had to resort to leasing land instead of owning it.
We were able to secure a lease on a 100-acre farm right before I went full-time into farming.
And how long was the lease for?
At first it was a 3-year lease.
Yeah.
And then we signed a 10-year lease after that, which in the middle of they decided to sell the farm.
They decided to sell the farm?
Yes.
You've got at this point, how many cattle, how many?
We had 60 head of cattle and roughly 40 pigs, I think, at that point. And no land.
No land.
Luckily for Josh, the American Farmland Trust stepped in to help.
So we almost instantly found American Farmland Trust and found Sandy Gordon's farm here.
Having already helped protect and conserve 6.5 million acres of working farmland across the US, the Trust have, in the past 5 years, also helped coordinate a new scheme. Budding farmers like Josh are matched online with retiring farmers who are looking to sell. So, I mean, in some ways, your organisation served as a matchmaker, at least in the case of this farm where we're standing.
Yes, that's exactly right. You can think of it as a matchmaking service. And then just helping them acquire the land, assess what they need, end up buying the property that's right for them where they'll be successful.
64-year-old dairy farmer Sandy Gordon was looking to pass on his farm, but wanted to make sure it was left in the right hands. Sandy, why was it so important to you that your farm go to another family farmer?
I just wanted to see a family come and have that opportunity that we were lucky enough to have. And, you know, it meant that to me. And Josh came down, and 20 minutes later, we're walking behind the barn, and my hay supply is sitting there for the winter. And then Josh went out to meet my cows, and the next thing I heard was, I like your cows. I hadn't heard about the farm yet, but...
That was a moment.
It was a good moment. I hope it gives others insight into a way to sell their farm that they might not have had available to them before.
Aspiring young farmers can't farm without land, and yet access is the biggest challenge to entering the industry. By taking a non-traditional approach, what Josh, John and Sandy are doing here is helping. And if this idea can be replicated elsewhere, it could ensure a sustainable farming future.
Across the Atlantic in Africa, a similar crisis is facing farming. With a population of over 1.3 billion, 60% of which are under the age of 24, Africa currently imports approximately $35 billion worth of food annually, a figure expected to swell to $110 billion by 2025. Convincing this growing youth bulge into farming is going to be essential. In Western Kenya, Joseph Kiplagat is part of a scheme called Growing Futures, aimed at doing just that.
After completing my education at school, I wanted to get some white-collar jobs, but because of the challenges in the area, I had to sort to farming. Young people have a few negative view on farming because it is very hard to manage. It needs a lot of capital, so and the young people cannot access capital, so they prefer doing some other businesses.
But with a growing family to raise, Joseph decided to make farming work and sought the help of Farm Africa Growing Futures Project.
Growing Futures is a project that focuses on the youth of ages between 18 and 35 years old. These are youth that mostly have been unable to continue with their schooling, and they are quite interested in doing farming.
Nicholas Munard is CEO of Farm Africa.
It's not about teaching farmers how to grow their food. The knowledge is there, so it's about facilitation. It's about giving them access to cash, giving them access to market, giving them access to higher productivity seeds or drought-resistant crop.
Farm Africa encouraged Joseph to move from growing maize to growing a mix of vegetables to maximize his profits.
The main support that we provide to this youth is provision of trainings. These are technical skills on crop production and business skills on how to run the crop production as a business. The main focus of the project is to ensure that the farmers get the market access.
With 1 million young people entering the labor market in Kenya every year, this kind of project is especially important in rural areas where unemployment is particularly high.
We've been working in the region of Kitale in the western side of Kenya with approximately 4,000 farmers. And the objective for us is, I would say, twofold: working on food security on one side and working on increased income on the other side. So the farmers are doing two things. They are producing cash crops for the UK market, so a lot of French beans, a lot of snow peas, a lot of manchou, but then they're also producing a lot of cabbage that are more for the domestic market. So for us, it's about that balance, basically using export to generate additional income, but also the top priority is basically producing food for African people. farmers around the world, but particularly in Africa, have that challenge of like not only growing but selling. Now it's getting even more and more complex. You actually not only need to grow, you need to market, find your customer, find the quality of your product, try to match the demand. So yeah, you need to become an entrepreneur.
Farm Africa has been helping local farmers like Joseph to certify his crop.
Certification is usually a requirement that the market is asking. So we embed certification into a wider developmental approach. You usually have three types of certification. You have certification that tackle quality. You have certification that address more social challenges like fair trade, for example. And then you have certification that are probably more environmental, so organic certification or Rainforest Alliance certification.
Officially certifying the crops helps farmers fetch a higher price.
If you take the farmers that we are working with on fruit and veg in the western side of Kenya, income has been boosted by 49.5% in 3 years.
And for those who manage to turn around their businesses, the support can be life-changing.
It has provided better schooling for their children. It has provided them with varied diets. We are seeing a brighter future for them because they are able to manage their business, and for sustainability, they're able to reinvest back into their enterprises and move on.
After doing this project, we have money, all the requirements in the family, like taking children to school, the nutrition of the family is actually raised up. We can meet the balanced diet. So in future, I want to expand to be an entrepreneur, to own a very big business. During our journey across the US, Africa, and Japan, it seems the tide is turning to plug the global generation gap. Industry and governments are moving to make farming more socially and financially attractive. Science and technology are sparking renewed enthusiasm. And above all, young people want to farm. If we are going to have any hope of producing enough food in the future, we clearly have to ensure that farming provides a vocation and a lifestyle that appeals to a generation more used to manipulating computers than harvesting crops. Our farms are under mounting pressure to produce bigger, healthier crops. But many of the next generation of would-be farmers are turning their backs on the land. Find out potential solutions at bbc.com/followthefood.